Mechanically, these don't have the best reputation.
I would say the worst.
and-
We call it the naughty Land Rover step. When she's broken something expensive, it's like, well, you can go and sit over there, and I want to come back to you in the spring, and I want to think about what you've just done. You know, Defender, the more battered it gets, the better it looks.
Yes. Today's remarkable episode fits a lifetime of stories into just one Land Rover Defender 110. But as always with Resto Revival, you're here for the full story. In today's episode, involves at least 2 engines, a fire, a burglary, a social media search for the retrieval of this car. It's also been a camper van and even a wedding car, and so much more in between. We'll also talk about the emotional story behind its name, Big Jan. I'm Will, welcome back to Resto Revival. This is another episode of Owners Club. Let's get into it. James, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. We've spoken a while ago, and it was about finding the right time to do this. So, I mean, as I said in my intro, this has got so many stories attached to it.
And they are all true.
Yes.
Yeah. It'll sound like I've made most of them up, but they are all irrevocably, horribly true.
Yeah. So I want to get into them all. So let's start at the start, which involves you buying this before you knew how to drive.
Yeah, it's a curious choice. I was a very nervous driver. I wasn't a natural at all. And I came to driving quite late in life. And I was never one of those guys, you know, a lot of people 17, get the provisional and go out and drive. I just, for some reason, just wasn't a thing that I was interested in. And then later on, I sort of, thought for my job, I'm a videographer, need a car. And again, nothing was grabbing me. And then I was working for a company and they owed me some money and said, well, how about we pay you a little bit and we give you this stupid old Land Rover? But they didn't phrase it exactly like that. And I just fell in love. The look, sounds weird, but the smell, everything, I was like, that's amazing. That's literally the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And everyone was horrified. They were like, what are you doing with a Land Rover? And they were like, yeah, it'll probably be all right. I mean, the British Army used them, so they must be all right, right? Sat on my parents' drive for a year. I think various neighbours, it was kind of proper like pitchforks at dawn.
Right.
There was nearly an intervention.
Good.
And then, I always thought I'd be like Maureen from driving school and take at least 50 attempts to pass my driving test. Inexplicably, perhaps because the guy was retiring or drunk, I passed first time.
Nice.
And then we went from beautiful air-conditioned Ford Fiesta to a 40-year-old tank. And the learning curve was steep.
Yes.
I'm saying. So my driving instructor used to say he thought my ideal first car would be a Citroen 2CV, which I thought was quite unkind. But yeah, so the first trip out, I nearly killed my mum because turns out driving one of these is quite difficult. And we went out in rush hour. So that was the first. My mum was part of the story right from the start.
Yeah.
She was the Chewbacca to my Han Solo. And I thought, this is make or break, ride or die. We went out to a place called Alder Worsley near Belper, and we just drove around the lanes, and suddenly it all clicked and made sense. And I just fell in love with it. That first afternoon, I thought, I love this vehicle, I'm going to learn how to drive it properly.
Yeah, because your mum's a kind of recurring theme in this whole story, isn't she? So what was it about a really old, really big Land Rover that you thought, this will be my first car?
Nothing rational, obviously, but there was something about the aesthetic, the look, but the way it sounds when you start it up. I mean, it just looks like something off like Jurassic Park, doesn't it? It's amazing. And you just thought, the idea of going out on adventures, going out in the countryside. Honestly, I'm obviously happily married now, but I think I was quite keen on a girl at the time who said, I'm very excited about you buying a Land Rover, which might have factored into the decision making. I thought, if it brings me points, that's the kind of thing I would do, is buy a car just to impress a girl.
Nice.
So that was it. But just the whole thing, I think the culture, like the heritage and that kind of agricultural background, and everything about it. It was just everything I wanted.
And your mum was quite surprised that she liked it so much.
She didn't like it at first.
Yeah.
She said, I quite realised that driving a vintage Land Rover every day was not going to be the one for work. So I was told to go and get a proper car And I drove to available car, and her words as I left the house were, "Don't come back with that bloody Land Rover." So I was doing the paperwork. I got a little Audi A3, and my mum said, the guy said, "Well, what are you doing with your Land Rover?" And I said, "Well, I've got to get rid of it. I've got to get a proper car." And he goes, "We've all got proper cars, mate." He goes, like, keep the Land Rover for the weekend. And I was like, "Okay, that's the thing, is it?" So I hid it from my mum for a period of months.
Did you really?
And I used to park it 2 streets away from my house.
Nice.
And my mum would be like, "James, I saw a Land Rover that looked exactly like yours the other day." And I was like, "Weird. It's just one of those weird urban phenomenon."
Very strange, yeah.
And then she basically thought, "Look, this idiot boy is going to keep this car. I'm going to have to learn to love it."
Yeah.
So for a little while, I thought my Land Rover was self-cleaning because I get in and it would be immaculate every day. And I realised a couple of months later that my mum was breaking in and then hoovering it.
Really?
And she started to call it Landy. That was the point at which it got a name.
Yeah.
So it was called Landy for a little while before it was Big Jan.
Yeah. Amazing. So she couldn't stand it being dirty.
No.
She thought if you had it, it's going to be clean.
I think in her words, she thought it might get better if she loved it. Obviously, that doesn't make it safer to drive. But I think she thought if it got a bit of a spit and polish, a bit of love, the car would come back to life, And my mum, obviously, she'd gone walking a lot around, kind of Derbyshire Dales, Peak District. Yeah. And she was at that point in her life, she was like too infirm to do that. So it was bringing back, I could drive her around all those places, and it became our thing. We would go up to, like Monsell Head, Buxton, and we would just spend whole weekends just driving around with a Land Rover and, seeing things she hadn't seen for decades, which was really cool.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, she eventually started to love it, and that's where the first sort of emotional connection started, really, didn't it?
100%. Well, yeah, I mean, there's, if you want me to get onto that now, there was a particular point at which it got a particular degree of kind of poignancy. My mum found out that she had terminal esophageal cancer in September 2015. And I went to see it at the hospital, and I knew it was bad news, and she said, I don't want to talk about it till you get there. And so we're in this room with the doctor and the consultant, and she came over to me, and literally the first thing that she said to me was, "You've got to call the Land Rover Big Jan now. You've got to name it after me. And then when I'm not here, you always have me, and you'll be able to go on your adventures, and I'll always be with you." And it was a really beautiful way of putting it. It meant that I could never sell the car, obviously, but so then it stopped being Landy, and it became Big Jan, It became personified my mum, and so
it's amazing.
A lot of people, Big Jan is an internet phenomenon. She's very well loved on the internet for that reason, My mum, the name Big Jan incidentally comes because my mum was a gangster rapper, but that's a different story for a different time. There's a separate set of videos out there.
Good. We'll get on to that. Yeah, I mean, what a powerful story. What an amazing memory of your mum to have this, as well as all of the memories that you shared with her in it.
There were times, we would sort of go, really, I suppose, because I was too stupid to know any better, but we would go off-roading completely without any support, any plan B. And we would do stuff like, there's bumps and scrapes around where we would go up green lanes in Derbyshire. And I think once there was a felled tree where a farmer tried to block the path. And we just panicked because this is obviously long wheelbase and we couldn't turn around. So we were hacking at this tree with a screwdriver trying to get through. I think in the end we did like a sort of 64-point turn, managed to turn around. And we were driving home and my mum went, "Oh, James, we do get in some shit, don't we?" And there's stuff like that on her birthday once. I think it was her last birthday actually. And I said, "Look, Mum, you take an ordnance survey map. You tell me where you want to go and I'll drive you anywhere." And we stopped for a large glass of red wine at every pub. Well, she did, not me, obviously. Yeah. And towards the end, she was just bouncing around the back and I was like, "Mum, where do you want to go next?" And she goes, "I don't care, darling, I'm drunk." And it was just awesome, all those places, like Brassington, Buxton, and all the places she loved as a girl, we were able to revisit them. And even my dad came out a bit as well. He's less of a car guy. But we had some amazing, those last couple of years, exploring the world, Derbyshire, together were amazing.
Yeah, I think what an amazing set of memories. In spite of obviously the news, you were able to create some incredible memories. And yeah, I just love what this car represents to you. I think it's amazing that it can hold such emotional connection to you. It's lovely.
It's become. It's beloved by all my friends. So it's been. It was my wedding car. So
Yeah.
this was all dressed with bunting and flags and everything for my wedding. And I came, obviously like everything in my life, my wedding was a bit different. And shall we say? And then so I said I'm only going to get married once, I hope. So I thought I want to be dropped off in the back of a Land Rover. So my best men, they all drove it, and we had the Dam Busters theme tune. And like nobody knew we were going to do this, so I was like, "Roll Dam Busters" to the sound man, and we came around the corner. With my best man, who had only just learned how to drive, because the gear stick is like stirring porridge with a dead fish. So we realised 5 minutes before I got married, he couldn't get it into first gear. So we had a very quick crash course, made it round. My sisters, I remember them just being in floods of tears because they realised it was my mum. I was getting dropped off with my mum, basically. I phrase that really badly, but you know what I mean. Yeah. The poignancy was there. My mum couldn't be at the wedding, but the car that represents my mum was my wedding car.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's amazing. So, mechanically, these don't have the best reputation.
I would say the worst.
And this one really hasn't helped its reputation either, has it?
We've been through the mill. We've been. Everything has happened. Fire, theft. I would say every kind of mechanical failure you can envisage, I have suffered, and I am the least mechanically minded man ever to have been born to woman. So my saviour has been one of my best friends. Well, he became my best friend through the Land Rover. It's a guy called Jim Moore, who's very selfishly on honeymoon in New Zealand at the moment. Yeah. He's known as Mega Hands. Yeah. And I knew I needed help right from the start. I was not going to be able to learn how to look after one of these. So I put it out on Facebook and I said, look, can anyone help me with my Land Rover? And everyone said, you need Mega Hands. So I met this guy, and there was him and a guy called Nick Ellis, and they helped me. We changed the engine and we put a 200 TDI engine in, which had a bit more poke. And then Nick was great, but he just said, I paid him £400. And Mega Hands just said, oh, do you know what? You've got a load of bits here. I'll tell you what, give me them to sell. You don't owe me anything. I'll sell them on the internet. That's my payment. Do you want to go for a pint? And then a beautiful friendship was born, and we spent the next 6 months fanning around in Land Rovers and getting into scrapes, and he became one of my closest friends. So the only reason this car is still here is because of Jim Moore. He's I wish he could be here. We'll perhaps get him to a video message from New Zealand. Yes. He is a crucial part of the story. He's like the fourth emergency service. The AA don't know how to deal with this, but I'll phone Jim up at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning going, Jim, my handbrake's failed. I'm blocking the A6. And he'll just wake up and go, right, yeah, I'm on my way. And WD-40 and a lump hammer, and we're back on the road.
Amazing. So what else mechanically has this gone through then?
The fire was probably the lowest point. Yeah. Right. So I'm in a pub with Mega Hands, and this bloke comes in. He goes, "Your Land Rover is a beautiful old vehicle." He goes, "You've got a real family heirloom there. Give that to your kids." And the kids have got more sense, But and then he comes back in with his pipe. 5 minutes later, goes, "Do you realise your Land Rover's on fire?" And I'm like, "Whatever." So it's winding me up, and he goes, "No, mate, your Land Rover's on fire." Look out the window. I'm like, "Oh God!" And there's flames coming out the bonnet. For some reason, Mega had bought a giant fire extinguisher home. Right. So in the back of his Land Cruiser, just had this thing, and he just literally popped the bonnet up, went, shh, and I thought, that's it. That's game over. When your car sets on fire, that's God's way of telling you.
Because that's probably message number one, wasn't it? Yeah. To any rational person.
To any rational person. That is the key comment. That's the key factor here. To any rational person. Yes. But took it to a mechanic, and he said, "No, it's fine." So, what do you mean it's fine? It's set on fire. And he goes, "No, it's just boiled the brake and clutch fluid," and he changed that. I was driving it the next week. There's still scorch marks in the bonnet from the fire. So that was disaster number one.
So it's tried to kill itself at least once. It's gone through 2 hearts in engines?
I've lost count, actually, but I want to say it's engine 4 or 5. Wow. Finally got a good one, though. This one has lasted, touch wood. This engine has been in for at least 5-6 years. Okay. So I think we've got a solid one now.
And where's this engine from? From another Defender?
This is from a Discovery, actually. So they're a little bit more plentiful, the Discovery 200 TDIs. But a lot of people say the Land Rover's best engine. The theory is that anyone can work on them. Yeah. So that's why the British Army continued to make this engine after Land Rover went to the TD5. Because the idea is that any squaddy in the field with a lump hammer, there's a very rude saying about a Land Rover toolkit, which you've probably got families watching this, so I won't repeat. But the Land Rover repair kit is very simple, and one of the ingredients is a lump hammer.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what the other one is because it's indecent.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put that somewhere else.
Yeah, on the bigger, longer, and uncut version of this video. Yeah.
So yeah, fire was another bump in the road.
Yes.
And then someone had the stupid idea to try and steal it.
Why would you want to do that? Why would you want it? It's like it's.
That would have been a great time for it to set on fire.
yeah. Literally while they were driving it.
Yeah.
But no, I woke up one morning and I think I'd driven this to band practice. One of my other hobbies is being a musical Viking.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I went to my other car and I was like, Ruthie, you notice there's a big gap where the Land Rover should be? And she goes, oh, I thought you parked it down the road. And I was like, why would I do that? No. So realised in the middle of the night it had gone. And I was distraught. I thought, that is it. This will be on a boat somewhere, stripped down for parts. There is no way I'm ever seeing that vehicle again. I think I drank quite a lot of wine and phoned the police. And lunchtime I got a call saying, oh, good news, we found your Land Rover. And we know who did it, incidentally.
Yeah.
But some youths had stolen it, ragged it around, done a load of damage, stolen what they could, tried to get the tent box off the top.
Yeah.
But again, she was driven away from the scene, and I thought that was really it. But fortunately, that enabled us, the insurance company were really good, and it enabled us to sort of repair the damage and actually set, a lot of things that weren't right. And it actually kind of done us a favour because they'd completely killed things that were basically broken anyway. So yeah, she survived theft, and I that was so lucky. I mean, that went really viral. There was a post, and obviously everyone was really angry about it.
Yeah.
And it got something ridiculous, like 30,000 views in a day, and shared everywhere.
That's incredible.
But yeah, to the users who sold it, we know who you are. So yeah.
I mean, you're quite fortunate in the sense that, like you say, most of these get stolen for parts, and I know Land Rover owners that will come back from the shops and the door will have been ripped off, and so you're quite lucky that maybe they were just looking for a bit of fun rather than...
I think they were, it was very much joyriding rather than, these are not professional gang. I don't think they had the requisite intelligence to form a criminal gang.
No.
Or indeed lace their own shoes. So no, but it's the security is a big aspect of Land Rover ownership because you can pretty much breathe on this and ask it nicely and it'll open for you.
Yeah.
You can literally, I used to break into it if I lost my keys. I used to use a bus ticket and put it in there, and you can literally.
Really?
So there's no point in relying on factory security. You have to go for aftermarket. There's a really good company called LRD Security, and they kitted me out. So you've got steering locks, immobilizers, dead man switches. I'm probably giving away all the secrets here, but and obviously a tracker. So it's got a tracker fitted. If this goes off my drive and I haven't authorised it, the police literally scramble, and so I could be in bed, and the police could be recovering this car.
So when it goes from a distance away from your phone,
you'll
get an alert.
Basically I have to authorise every trip, and if I don't, then it will contact the police.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
I mean, if someone's going to want to steal it, they're going to steal it. I mean, you hear people like literally getting magnetic cranes and kind of lifting them off drives and everything. So
crazy.
But you make it as difficult as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's like 3 or 4 levels of security. It would take you at least a quarter of an hour with a power tool to grind through anything that's in there. So you got to think that's got to make it pretty hard to nick, right?
Yeah.
And why would you want to? Why would you want to inflict this on yourself?
I was gonna say, you're just inheriting a headache, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like stealing leprosy.
Yes.
Why do you want to do that to yourself? Maybe cut that out.
I mean, like say, there's you point at the marks on the bonnet, and every sort of dent or scratch or mark has got a story attached to it, which I like.
It's beautiful. I mean, I can tell you, I could literally go around and every single bump, I can tell you where it was done and what act of stupidity led to that happening, and we were saying any other car, you scratch your car and you're in tears, you go into chips away to get done. Defender, the more battered it gets, the better it looks.
Yes.
Probably several different paint jobs from different eras, all hand painted.
Yeah.
A couple of collie dogs in the back. I think a really beautiful thing about Defenders is they're such a great vehicle, but what I love about them is they are, in the one sense, completely classless. They don't anyone can drive a Defender.
Yeah.
And I think Richard Hammond said you can own the land, or you can farm the land, or work the land,
Or steal from the land.
or steal from the land, or yes, or you would all look proper stepping out of a Land Rover
Yeah,
Defender.
it's very
it's
true.
it's not a footballer's car. It's
No.
so yeah, the last great vehicle Land Rover made. I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's the characteristics? Is it driving it? Is it a combination of everything?
It's a driving experience. It begs to be driven.
Yeah.
Whereas, the great thing about modern car is it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
Yes.
The great thing about this is it does nothing, and it, but it's so utilitarian. You can put it. I've never known any weather condition stop it. We've been through. One time I had to rescue someone from a flood, and literally there was water over my bonnet. The snorkel wasn't connected actually, and it still made it through. Any kind of snow, mud, nothing stops it. It's great.
As I said to you, this is exactly why I started this channel and why I try to find cars like this, because money can't buy the experiences you've had in this car and what it means to you, and the fact that you'll never sell it is kind of illustrates that point. It's remarkable. I feel even a part of what you feel towards this car. It's kind of magnetic.
I mean, we were saying earlier, weren't we? You don't go, oh God, I love that washing machine. I could never sell that washing machine. And it's the same thing, but it's not, because the difference is it's the memories. It's the people that you've been with in this, the adventures that you've had, the memories, and it's all kind of imbued in this truck, I think everyone's been at that Basil Fawlty moment where they've been, you've done it to me for the last time, you're carrying on Auto Trader.
Good
and then you calm down and then you just think, I could never watch someone drive this away.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. This is, for better or worse, this is with me till I die. Obviously, one thing we haven't mentioned is that throughout the evolution of its life, it's become a camper van as well.
So that was my next question.
Tent box on top, which is looking like it could really do with a jet wash. But yeah, so basically this pops up and me and Reece sleep inside it. And the first week we did that, we just drove it around Pembrokeshire. We just picked a different beach every night. My old driving instructor, he was just saying, oh, you want to go to this place next? And we literally put a pin on a map, pulled up on a beach every night, popped open the tent box and opened a bottle of Prosecco, and I should have said something more manly, opened a beer.
Yes.
It was awesome.
And obviously no intentions to sell her whatsoever.
I couldn't bear to. I mean, I think the value has skyrocketed since.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought this for about £2,000.
Really? Wow.
I think, it varies who you talk to. I think for insurance purposes, it's 25 at the moment. So,
That's incredible, isn't it?
I don't think I could afford to buy one again.
No.
And so I think if I ever got rid, that would be it. And I'd be heartbroken. It's broken my heart multiple times. I don't want to add up how much it's cost me. But,
Nah.
you can't put a price on memories, can you?
No, not at all. And do you think it will ever die, or do you think it's always fixable?
I think it's like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, it's like there is a triggers broom element. That like everyone's like, well, if you replace the chassis, the bulkheads, most of the bodywork, the seats, the doors, is it actually the Land Rover? And it's like, well, the essence, the spirit of Big Jan is through it. But yeah, I don't think it's possible to kill a Land Rover, because it is that ladder chassis system, and it's basically big boys Meccano.
Yeah.
It's like anything that you can break on this vehicle, if you've got enough willpower and money, you can fix anything.
Yeah.
So I think the worst thing that would happen is you just sawn it and you'd leave it on the drive while we call it the naughty Land Rover step. When she's broken something expensive, it's like, well, you can go and sit over there, and I want to come back to you in the spring, and I want to think about what you've just done.
We'll go to the mechanics and we'll talk about it.
yeah. Tell the mechanic what you've done.
Yeah.
Usually tell Mega Hands what you've done.
I've rusted again. Yeah. Well, I would love to look under the bonnet. It's not what Land Rover delivered, but...
Well, no, it's not, because we've improved. Me and Mega Hands have actually worked on an upgrade to the factory, right?
Yeah.
I think you will run this channel, Will, for quite a long time, and you will never come across anyone else who has a Wilco broom handle as a bonnet prop.
Wow, there you go.
I mean, the thing is, this is better than the Land Rover original, because this is telescopic, right? So, So what it is, Mega got didn't have the bonnet properly, obviously rusted off, fallen off at some point. So Mega got fed up at this, banging him on the head. So he just got a broom handle from his house and whacked it on, and it's been there ever since. That's been there about a decade. So yeah. There
you go. Well, if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid. As they say.
Yeah. So I mean, the electrics are looking fairly tidy. You can see where the bulkhead's been changed. Like you can see that's actually in pretty good nick now.
Yeah.
This is actually a Land Rover Discovery 200 TDI.
Yeah.
Still sort of 2.5 turbo diesel, but everything's in a slightly different place to the Defender one, which gives you a few head scratches. Like the air intake's in a different place, so it's quite difficult, to find out where to put your snorkel and plumb that in and stuff. But yeah. So, and because it's also mega basic, I mean, if you have the inclination, you can, I say I'm not mechanical, I'm really not, but you can teach yourself to do most things, Yeah,
it's more of a question of knowing it rather than it being too difficult.
Yeah, I would say, I think you've, Mega Hands is he's going to watch this and he's going to go, James, this is such nonsense because you've never tried to change your life. But when I'm helping him, I do understand the principle of most things.
Yeah.
And there's everything in this car, technically, if you had the Haynes manual, the time, the inclination, you could learn to do it all. It's not like a modern car, like the modern Land Rover has 252 ECUs.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing you can fix without a laptop and a specialist. This, in theory, anyone could fix.
Yeah.
And that's why it was such a prized military vehicle for years,
Amazing. Well, I think we should take Big Jan for a drive.
You're a brave man. Let's do this. You've got a combination of a 40-year-old vehicle and my driving. I hope your affairs are in order, William.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Moment of truth. Will she start?
Be a short video if not. Yeah. There we go.
So you see straight away, it's quite an individual experience.
Lots of vibrations. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of audio we get out of this. I mean, you can get soundproofing, but I mean, that just spoils the fun, doesn't it? Really?
Why do you need soundproofing?
The worst windscreen wipers invented by the human race.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, so
they do literally nothing.
Literally nothing. And what's interesting, an interesting Land Rover design feature is that you have to defrost it on the inside as well.
Yeah,
so
it's very clever. It's because it warms up the driver before it drives. So
it's almost like a sort of a physio routine, one might say.
I don't know what your visibility is like. Mine is at about -3.
If you want to give it a wipe, we're using. There is a
I've
mitt
got to really
somewhere.
earn my keeping in this van, haven't I?
Yeah. You've been upgraded to windscreen wiper, internal.
It's an honour, really is.
Yeah. I tend to find people respond to you a little bit differently in this car as well. Like, because it's such a beautiful old car, people tend to give way, give you the wave. Or maybe they just look at you and think, he's got enough problems already.
He doesn't need to break down on this junction, I'll let him go. I can't imagine it's the same for Range Rover drivers. I imagine they have a big problem getting out of junctions.
Yeah. This is it. I think, whilst it is an aspirational car in the one sense, I think this is it. Anyone can own a Land Rover Defender, can't they?
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about your wallet, your class.
No, not at all. It is great though. I like how high up you are. I know what you mean about the smell now. There is that sort of diesel-y, oily,
like mildly
agricultural smell.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of those things. And my friend Laura, we were at a music festival. We were using this as a kind of crew wagon.
Yeah.
And she said her dad used to drive Land Rovers when she was little.
Yeah.
And she got in and thought, I've really missed that smell. 70% of the developing world, apparently, the first car that they saw was a Land Rover Defender.
Yeah. That is incredible, isn't it?
Which then probably put them off driving for some time.
But they'll look at the Defenders and go, God, it's a human race, we're further behind than I thought.
Yeah. I think like I say, it is the disease. I think a Land Rover Defender is definitely not for everyone.
No.
I think if you like speed, it's definitely not for you.
Reliability.
If you like reliability, it's not for you. Actually,
Comfort.
I'm struggling to think who it is for. But no, you know that if you love one of these vehicles, you know what it is. It's that factor that you will never find in another vehicle anywhere. No. There's nothing like a Land Rover Defender.
No, really it's like even the terrain now, you know, we can quite comfortably just drive straight past a road closed sign and you don't worry, do you? Just go over everything. It's it has one speed across every terrain.
Yeah, I mean, I found generally if you put it in low box and diff lock, there is nothing you're not getting through. And I say that.
Here we go. Yeah, this will be the test.
We might need to move a few traffic codes. Oh, Will, do you want to be traffic cone guy?
Yep, let's do this.
There is actually a well-established tradition that the person that isn't driving is usually called. It's not really okay to call people gate bitch, but so you're the person that does the gates.
That's it.
The gate person.
Right.
And the door's locked, isn't it? It's not going to open now. Yeah. So we're stuck. Okay, saying we can never get stuck anywhere.
There we go.
All right.
2 hands, that's all.
Beginning to see what this might be closed actually. Go and have a look and see how bad this is.
Right, you can get through that, can you?
Easily.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Yeah.
All right, let's give it a test, shall we?
Yeah.
Right, that felt like a very Land Rover thing to do.
That did feel very Land Rover, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, in our own small way, I feel like we've conquered. Feels like we've discovered new lands.
Yeah, does. It feels like we should put a flag in the ground.
We could, yeah, but probably not because I've just been through a very close one. I think anything identifying who we are would probably be quite a poor choice right now. Oh, hopefully on slightly firmer territory now.
Yes.
So yeah, I think on a good day when the sun's shining, you know, and everything's working, there's no more glorious feeling than driving a Defender through the countryside.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it does feel so at home around these country lanes.
Well, that's where the origins of the vehicle kind of come from. Is Maurice Wilkes had an old Bren gun carrier that he was using basically to, you know, move things around his farm.
Yeah.
And he went down onto the beach and he sketched the design for the Land Rover Defender. And there was the idea of it being, you know, this utilitarian vehicle. Anyone could fix, could go anywhere, do anything. I mean, I suppose some people would argue that it's actually the Jeep is the first utility vehicle.
Yeah.
But you know, on a day like today, it really earns its keep. You know,
Yes,
and you can see why it's been, you know, a staple of agriculture and military life for as long as it has. Because it's the car that keeps on going. You know.
Well, that's it. Why would a farmer need anything else? It doesn't need luxury. It doesn't need leather seats.
No. It's another downside of Land Rover ownership is tyres are quite expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not selling it, really, am I, as a lifestyle?
No, but weirdly, I think every
now.
Land Rover Defender owner will go, yeah. Totally understand.
Yeah.
Like, you've made it sound as unappealing as humanly possible, and yet, yeah, we get it.
It is. Mega hands is not wrong. It is the disease. It's like, why do I remember driving this for the first couple of nights.
Yeah.
And I came home and I said, I love this insane bag of bolts. And it makes no sense.
No.
But I love it.
No. I think if you're into your cars, it never really makes sense.
Yeah.
You just do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know when you go around an old house for the first time and you kind of look around and you can feel the stories? That is definitely my experience with Big Jan today. You can sit in it, you can drive it, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can smell it. And there's a real sense of storytelling in this, and you feel the memories and you feel the attachment that James has to Big Jan and what it means to him and the family connections and all that sort of thing. And this is exactly why I created this channel, to hear the stories that a car is never just a car, but when a car or a Land Rover means so much to James, it's incredibly rewarding to see it, to hear his story and to be part of it. So thank you to James for taking part. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it. If you want to hear more stories like this, I've got so many more. Please subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers I can get, the better the channel can get, the more stories I can hear. So if you've got a car, van, vehicle that you want to tell the story as well, please get in touch. I would love to come and film you as well. So thank you once again for watching. I'll see you next time.